The second example of this first urban civilization that we are going to study is the ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt developed on the banks of the Nile in the northeast Africa. The river Nile, as you can see in the picture, crosses the large Sahara Desert. This desert area was called by the Egyptians the Red Lands and were not occupied during the ancient world. But the fertile, narrow strip of land surrounding the river that you can see in green in this map, that was the Black Land, and that was the area occupied during the ancient Egypt. In this narrow area, we are going to see that during the Neolithic, some villages built hydraulic works like canals and dikes to control the flooding of the river, and they get a very good profit and a very good harvest and an agriculture development. The area of Egypt was surrounded by natural frontiers. On the north, you can see the Mediterranean Sea, and on the west and on the east, we are going to find desert that protected Egypt up to a certain point from external enemy attacks. If you can see the timeline on the top, we have here a very long history during 3 millenniums. This history started at the end of the Neolithic, when some of these cities that developed the hydraulic works started growing and conform or made 2 different kingdoms. On the north, the Lower Egypt Kingdom that occupied the area of the delta and the mouth of the river, and in the south, the Upper Egypt that controlled the area of the river. These kingdoms were ruled by different kings. These kings wore different crowns. The red crown that symbolized the power over the Lower Egypt, and the white crown that symbolized the power over the Upper Egypt. These 2 kingdoms, independent at the beginning, were finally unified by a king, a legendary king called Narmer, that was the first one to unify 2 kingdoms into one, the ancient kingdom of Egypt, and the name of this pharaoh was Narmer. Narmer was the first one to wear this double crown that symbolized the unification of the country, and that happened around 3,000 years before Christ, here in the period that we call the early dynastic period. This early dynastic period started during the 4th millennium and ended around 2600 years before Christ. But if you can see the timeline, we are going to see a very long history with different periods. And at the story of Egypt, we can say that ends in the 30 before Christ. That means almost 3,000 years of history. The end of the ancient history is here, when the Romans conquered Egypt in the 30 before Christ. During all this period, Egypt was ruled by pharaohs like Narmer. These pharaohs were very important people, considered divines and touched by the gods, that rule into dynasties. A dynasty is a royal family, and that happened because from the beginning of the history of Egypt, the pharaoh was able to pass down the power to the members of the same family. These families that rule over these 3,000 years were called dynasties. And we have 31 different dynasties ruling Egypt during 3,000 years.